Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Trauma Team Racing. Today we're going to be heading back to basics. We're going to be heading back to the future. We're going to head back to the beginning. If you hadn't already guessed, this tutorial is on exercises for the back, targeted at sim racers and gamers. Roll the intro. Hi there, and welcome to my channel, Trauma Team Racing. If this is your first time here, welcome. My name's Scott, and I'm a trauma and orthopedic sim racing surgeon based here in the United Kingdom. If you find any of this remotely useful, please consider hitting that like button, please consider hitting that subscribe button, I'd really appreciate it. So to kick off with, as in all my tutorials, we're looking at the back today, and we're going to break things down at the aims of what we want to try to achieve in that table right there. So, firstly, we're just going to have a brief look at the anatomy just so we can understand the complexities of the back, just so we can appreciate why we need to invest in our back to help prevent against injury in the future and when we get a little bit older. Secondly, we're going to look at some simple cardiovascular exercises that we can do at home to again help improve the resilience of the back as an investment to help prevent against injury in the future. The third section will be the bread and butter, and we'll be looking at 4 exercises targeted at the back that you can do simply at home without the use of any aids or weights to help improve that resilience and build up the strength in the back for those long, grueling sim racing sessions. Finally, in the 4th section, we're going to be looking at the evidence that backs up what we've been speaking about, just to show that I'm not making it up. Let's head into it. So let's start looking at some of the anatomy. So to do this, we're going to be using my beautiful assistant here, Arnold, who is not quite configured correctly. There you go, that's better. So the back is a tremendously complex system of bones. It's made up of these building blocks of bone called your vertebrae, of which there are 33 in total. They're divided up into several regions called your cervical vertebrae, your thoracic vertebrae, your lumbar vertebrae, and your sacral vertebrae, which you can't quite see just down at the bottom. Now, the skeleton is tremendously important for a number of reasons. Now, it supports the entire weight of the body above the pelvis, it protects your spinal cord, and it's particularly important with both posture, how we stand and how we seat, and also movement. Attached to the spinal cord is a complex system of muscles, approximately 40 in total, and to go through all of those is beyond the scope of this tutorial and would more than likely bore the hell out of you. But we're just going to touch on it briefly. So the muscles are divided up into layers, right? So you've got your superficial layer, which controls your shoulder movement. You've then got your intermediate layer, which is attached to your thoracic cage and is involved in thoracic movement. You've then got a deep layer, which is involved in your vertebral movement, and that's attached to the vertebral column. Now, what I'm trying to get at is whenever anybody comes to see either myself or I would imagine a general practitioner and asks, I've got back pain, is there something I can buy, I can add, or something I can add into what I'm doing to make it better? What I'm emphasizing is that we need to start investing in our own health and exercising our back sensibly in order to provide a good muscular foundation as an investment for the future. If you don't invest in your muscular health, as in if you don't exercise the back, when you're older, say 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, whatever, and you're sat on those long, grueling sessions on the simulator, it's no surprise if you haven't invested at a young age or even at an older age. It doesn't have to start young. You can start as old as you like, but the important thing is to start with just some simple muscle building exercises for the back that will help provide that support and help provide that comfort for those long sessions on the simulator for years and years to come. So let's get on to the next section. Now, before touching on this section, I would say we are going to cover seating position and posture on the simulator in a later tutorial, but to touch on that today is well beyond the scope of this tutorial because that's a whole separate issue. What I'd like to touch upon now is just some simple cardiovascular things that we should all be doing just for our general health, because to get the heart rate up, to get the cardiovascular system going and just running in general is just really good for kind of general fitness. Now, one of the first things that kind of is always advocated for anybody who's having any back problems or just wants to take it easy on the back is swimming. It unloads the joints, it unloads the muscles, it's really good and it gets the heart rate going. Other things that can be done, if you feel so inclined and have access to it, YouTube's a fantastic resource. You can look at yoga, that's excellent for the back, and also Pilates, that's also excellent. If you just want to go for gentle walks, build up a jog, or just any regular exercise program, we should be doing, we should be exercising every day to get that heart rate up. It's good for your general health. Again, it's investing for the future and just generally good all around. Let's go on to the next section. Welcome back to my Fortress of Solitude, and we're now going to go through 4 simple exercises that you can do at home without the use of any gym equipment to help strengthen that back. Now the first exercise is called a good morning. Really simple to perform. First of all, what I want you to do is stand feet shoulder width apart. We're going to have a gentle bend in the knee, and then what we're going to do is we're going to fold our arms across our chest, and then as we'll take a deep breath in, and then as we breathe out, we're going to gently hinge forward. And what we're going to do is aim to try and get our back parallel to the floor, but don't worry if you can't. And then what we're going to do is gently bring ourselves back up and breathe in. And there we are. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you that from the side so you can see what my back is doing. So let me readjust myself. Right, again, feet shoulder width apart. Fold the arms across the chest. Then what we're going to do is we're going to gently bend our knee, and then we're going to hinge forward. Really poke that bum out because we want to keep that back nice and flat. Go down as far as you can, as far as you can, as far as you can, as far as you can until that back is roughly parallel, and then bring yourself back up again. Now what you want to do is you want to repeat this 10 times, do 10 repetitions, and then move on to the next exercise. Let's look at exercise number 2. Now the second exercise is a body weight squat. Again, really easy to perform, but take your time with it because you may need to build things up. You don't have to do a complete squat to start off with, you can just do a half squat and take things from there. As before, we're going to stand feet shoulder width apart. Then what I want you to do is fold your arms across your chest again. Now you can try 2 variations of this. Now for me, I like to breathe in on the way down and breathe out on the way up. Okay, you can breathe out on the way down and in on the way up if you find that better. So what we're gently going to do is keeping your eye pointing forward. Again, point that bum out. You're gently just going to squat. Now if you can only get to about halfway here, that's fine. But ideally you want to get all the way down here until your thighs are parallel to the floor. Then bring yourself back up. Now do a few repetitions of those. Again, fold your arms, down to a squat, get down to your thighs are parallel and get back up. Now you want to do a few of them. Okay, and you can get up to about 10. Work yourself up to 10. Maybe start baby to start off with, aim with about 5 repetitions, build up to 10 repetitions. But again, if anything feels uncomfortable, please stop. Let's move on to exercise number 3. Now this next one is called head, arms and trunk rotation, and it does exactly what it says on the tin. First, again, we're going to stand with our feet roughly shoulder level. Then what we're going to do is we're going to pop our arms out in front. Now from this point, what we're going to do is gently turn everything to the right. So arms go out right, so does the neck. Everything's getting a good stretch. Then what we're going to do is we're going to bring it back to the middle and rotate all the way around to the left, getting a good stretch. And what that's doing is just rotating the spine and getting everything stretched out. Now what I would recommend doing is doing that for roughly about 10 times. Get everything stretched out. What you're doing is getting a good stretch on those rotatory muscles of the spine. Okay. Now this last exercise we're going to cover is an upright row, and what this is going to target is the shoulder muscles of the back. It's a good warm-up exercise. So again, stand feet roughly hip or shoulder width apart. What you're going to do is you're going to start with your arms by your sides. Then you're going to gently bring your arms up, point your elbows out to as high as they can go, get a good stretch in those shoulder muscles, and then bring them all the way back down again. Repeat that. So that's 2, all the way up, and down, and all the way up, and down. Again, you can add a weight in, but this is just a body weight exercise to start off with because these are all just warm-up exercises. And that's the end of the exercises. Now there are a few more, but we're going to talk about them in the next section. Let's head back to theatre. So as with anything in medicine or surgery, it's always good to operate and practice with the best evidence available. Now, if you see a medical professional over here in the United Kingdom with back pain, we'll more than likely consult what we call our NICE guidance, which stands for the National Institute of Clinical Excellence. Now within that is a document constructed by the National Back Pain Association, of which the exercises we've spoken about today have been adapted, and these are all approved by NICE. If you feel like taking your back exercises that little bit further, they do include further exercises within that piece of documentation, which is really easy to follow, and I'll leave a link to that in the description below, which I would encourage you all to look at because it gives some really clear guidance. And that pretty much sums it up. So again, it's not just about a simple fix, about buying a cushion or some newfangled seat. We need to take responsibility for our health and build up the muscular foundation. Whatever age you are, you can start young, old, or really elderly, but the important thing is to start. Take your back health seriously, start the exercises, and then that means we'll be able to keep racing on the simulator around those circuits and enjoying ourselves with our favourite hobby for longer and longer until we're older and older. If you found any of this useful, please hit the like button, please hit the subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. And as always, thank you for watching. Good night, good evening, good morning. See you in the next one. Mercer out. You know what, and